I am going to be making some huevos rancheros this morning, and that's what I'm having. I have 2 corn tortillas here. My personal points, 2 is 3 points. And I have no fat, traditional refried beans, half a cup. It's going to be 0 points. My eggs are 0 points. And I'm going to be using a 1/4 cup, well, probably a half cup of the tomato sauce and a 1/4 cup of the diced tomatoes, which I'm going to mix together. This has green chilies, so I'll add just a little bit of spice to it, and a 1/4 cup of the Mexican style cheese blend here. And this is going to be 3 points for a 1/4 cup. So I'm going to have 3 and 3. That's going to be 6 for my breakfast. So first I'm going to toast this in my toaster oven here, and actually let me put it on toast. And what I just want to do is I just want to heat up these beans, and I'll put half of the cheese on here, and then I'll cook my eggs. So I'm warming up my tomato mixture over here, and I've got water in here. I'm just going to lightly poach my eggs. You don't have to. You could just use a little spray and cook them if you want that way, but it's going to be like over medium. All right, so my poached egg isn't really pretty, but I took it out, and it's on top of my toasted bit here. And so I'm going to put in like half of my tomato stuff on top, and then I'll spread it around. And I'm just going to toss this one up here on the stove and kind of like warm it up and soften it up. I don't want any oil on it. My mother was a whiz at warming these things up, and she never used to burn her hands, and it always amazed me. But I kind of developed that callousness, I guess, of your fingers, where I can do this and it amazes my kids. All right, that's gonna go on top of here, and then I'll put a little more sauce on top. All right, and I got my nice runny egg on top. So this is gonna be my breakfast here for 6 points, my huevos rancheros. Oh, and a pear. All right, I am going to make some pumpkin steel cut oats. I usually make a bunch, so I'm starting off with 3 cups into my Instant Pot of steel cut oats, and that means I'm going to add in 3 parts to that. So I have 9 cups of water, and I'm going to, you can always cut this down, it's just that I pretty much triple the recipe because I cook for a whole week. And now I'm adding 3 cups of unsweetened almond milk. You could use whatever milk is your choice, but you have to count the points for that, right? Okay, so I'm going to add in next 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And at this point, you can kind of change the flavor. You can add any kind of other flavoring. You could add in almond flavoring or anything else. And I'm just going to kind of put in as much ginger as I want. It's a warming spice, and it's really nice for warming you up on a cold day. And I'm also going to add in some cinnamon. And this is just to my own taste. We like lots of ginger and cinnamon. And this is going to work really well with the pumpkin. I have 1 can of pumpkin here. Now, if you don't want pumpkin, you could just cook it like this. Put the lid on. Oh, I added a little bit of sea salt, just a pinch. You can just put the lid on, and then that'd be it. But I like the little pumpkin. When I put a can of pumpkin in, it's just 100% pumpkin. It really makes it come out super creamy, and it just adds a whole other, element to my oatmeal. And I know that you get all that rich beta carotene, and all the nutrients from the pumpkin. So why not add just a little more nutrition? And it's not going to add any more points. So now I'm just going to stir this up a little bit, make sure it's evenly distributed. And then what I'll do is I'll put the lid on here, and you're just going to press the porridge button I think it's set for like 5 minutes. Now, you can kind of like quick release it, but it's not the same as if I just let it go and let it decompress and let all the pressure go out naturally until the little button falls down. It just gets more creamy and more tender. So that's what I do, and it usually takes about 45 minutes until that little button comes down. So now it's down. I double check to make sure before I open it. And all that nice steam just got all over my camera lens. That'll clear up in a second. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of like spend a minute to break down the little, it kind of like forms little globules in there. And you break them down, they all come apart, and it just becomes this wonderful creaminess. And so, but it just takes a minute. You can take like a little potato masher in here if you want to break them down a little faster. But it just takes a couple of minutes of, stirring it around and breaking those up. And all of a sudden, you don't have one little globule. It's just one lovely, creamy pot of goodness. And everybody's just so glad to wake up to this in the morning. Now, I make this for the entire week, and we all have it for breakfast. I put some in jars for my husband. I dress it up different ways. This morning, this is how I'm going to dress it up. Since it's pumpkin, I added a teaspoon of honey. For me, it's 2 points, and it has wonderful enzymes in it to help break down the food. 1 tablespoon of pumpkin seeds, which is 0 for me, 3 tablespoons of sugar-free vanilla creamer, and a half of an apple that I've sliced up. And that's the way that I'm going to have it. It's absolutely delicious. And it's only 4 points, and it keeps me all day. Oh, and a tablespoon of wheat germ, which is 0 points for me. And then I get it ready for my husband to grab in the morning. Now, he has some sugar-free syrup in here as well, and some blueberries, and he could just grab that. For breakfast this morning, I'm going to have a serving of leafy greens, vegetables. So there's spinach in this pan here. I'm going to whittle them down, and then I'm going to add in one of the eggs from the Americana chickens this morning, and some egg whites, and about a tablespoon of the fat-free feta crumbles. I believe that might be 1 point. Might not be, because I think it might be 2 points, 2 tablespoons for 1 point. So it might actually be 0, but I'll double check.